And news is coming in. The Prime Minister has landed in Philadelphia in the US. He's on a 3-day trip to the United States. Modi-Biden bilateral later tonight. That's on top of the agenda. He's there for a 3-day visit for the Quad Summit. We'll be getting in more details as my colleagues join us. Geeta Mohan, our Foreign Affairs Editor, is with us. And also Gaurav Samant, our Managing Editor, also with us. Rohit Sharma continues to be with us from the US. For more on that, I'm going to be bringing in Gaurav to this conversation at this point in time. Gaurav, it's a 3-day visit of the Prime Minister. Now, all eyes really on the Quad, given the situation that we're seeing in various countries. But of course, the bilateral with US President Joseph Biden tonight. Give us a sense of what are the deliverables as far as India is concerned. What is it that we're looking at?
So this is a very important visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to the United States of America. Do remember that this, in a way, is a farewell for President Joe Biden. This was India's turn to host the Quad Summit, and Quad 2024 was to be held in India. But at the request of the United States, and this also shows how close India and the United States are, the US requested, since it's President Biden's farewell, can this be held in the US? And India said, of course, go ahead. This also is the farewell of Prime Minister Fumio Kishida of Japan. So 2 of the 4 Quad's head of state and government would be bidding farewell to Quad in their personal capacities. And next year, when it's held in India, US will have a new president and Japan will have a new prime minister. But the bilateral one-on-one, look, India-US relationship, it's become much stronger than what it was earlier, and in new areas. And to an extent, defense, foreign affairs, strategy, coordination on Indo-Pacific, space technology, military technology. These are things which are really steering the India-US relationship. So there'll be an intense conversation on that. While Prime Minister has a one-on-one with the US President, he also has a one-on-one with all the other Quad members. So he'll be meeting Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, he'll be meeting Fumio Kishida, the Japan Prime Minister separately, and of course President Joe Biden. Then, he moves for the second leg of his visit, and that again is very interesting. Apart from his interaction with the Indian diaspora, it's the summit of the future, where the Prime Minister will lay a roadmap or his vision of how the world should tackle the situation that the world is facing right now. There are 2 very major battles that are on, one in Europe between Russia and Ukraine, the other between Israel and Hamas terrorists, and Hezbollah is a new angle to that war. So how do you ensure, one, there is a movement, there's a way forward that you move towards peace? While you move to peace, the global supply chain is not adversely impacted due to these wars. And the global south, India is the voice of the global south or the developing countries. They are heard loud and clear.
Gaurav getting in those details. And Gaurav, even as I speak with you, we're staying in those pictures of the members of the diaspora. I mean, no visit of the Prime Minister outside of India abroad is complete without this huge show of support and love and respect that he gets from members of the diaspora, isn't it? And there is an event which is scheduled also, that is for tomorrow, I think, in New York, in Long Island.
You're absolutely right. A very important community event. It's the Indian American community, which Prime Minister Narendra Modi has often described as the ambassadors of India in the United States of America and the human bridge between the 2 countries. And the diaspora, one, their numbers have increased, and 2, their power has increased. They're economically very powerful now. Technologically, India is very powerful, and they're very well respected, unlike many other countries whose diaspora is frowned upon or looked down upon in the United States of America. Indian diaspora is very well respected because they blend in and they help those countries grow. So when the Prime Minister addresses them and talks to them about India's achievements, they carry that story forward. They carry the India story to the United States. So the Prime Minister's interaction with the diaspora at Long Island, it's a community event, also becomes extremely important. Though it remains to be seen whether this year you'll have a number of American political leaders who will be participating, because I had covered the Madison Square Garden event of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. I'd also covered Howdy Modi in Houston. And that time, a number of political leaders in the United States came and attended that diaspora event. And that showed, India's rising clout in the world order, and especially in the United States of America, Sneha.
Gaurav, also what is expected is the Prime Minister is going to be, in fact, taking part, at an event as far as the UN is concerned. There's going to be a meeting, or there's going to be an address by the Prime Minister as well. Tell us a little more about that.
So this is Summit of the Future.
Yes.
It's a very important global event. It's a very important event of the United Nations. What would the world look like, and what should the world be? Which is where India plays a very critical role. And in this Summit of the Future, the world right now is going through intense turmoil. When you look at the Russia-Ukraine war that's been on for several years now, and everybody expected that this war would perhaps hold up in a couple of weeks, if not months. It's been on for over 2 years. The war between Israel and Hamas, and now Hezbollah adding a new angle to it, that will practically be in the next couple of days. It will be 1 year of that terrible attack on Israel and its impact. So how is this war impacting? If the global supply chain is being impacted, food supplies are being impacted, fuel supplies are being impacted, prices are going up. And while Europe would want the whole world to, be with them or be with the NATO countries, India has that very strong voice, like we saw during the G20 summit in India, where India emerged as the voice of the developing world. And India was repeatedly trying to tell the world, that war is your war. That's not our war. And why should we be adversely impacted by that war? Look at the prices of fuel that's going up. Europe is suffering. The world is suffering. But why should the developing countries suffer?
That's right.